And we're kicking off today with WrestleMania 41, as right now just 2 matches have been confirmed for this April show, with 2 more title bouts set to be locked in at Elimination Chamber on March 1st. Now, Wade Keller from PW Torch reports that WWE has several plans set, including Jade Cargill returning at the event to confront her attacker Naomi, setting up a future feud. Jacob Fatu is set to have a showcase at his first WrestleMania, though the choice of opponent hasn't been finalized, with WWE deciding between Solo Sikoa or Braun Strowman. Intercontinental Champion Bron Breakker will also be in action at WrestleMania, but against an opponent fans may not have predicted for the Powerhouse, Logan Paul. This will come as a surprise to fans, given that many had predicted Breakker versus AJ Styles for Las Vegas, especially after they began their feud during the February 17th Raw. Instead of WrestleMania, it's now believed the pair will face off at Elimination Chamber, and Styles will instead face Finn Balor this April inside Allegiant Stadium. WWE has been discussing this as a first-time ever at WrestleMania match between the pair, who faced off at TLC 2017 in what is regarded as one of WWE's best matches in recent years. As always, nothing is set in stone, as injuries, creative changes, and last-minute booking decisions could shake things up before the Showcase of Immortals goes live. WWE is known to pivot when necessary, such as replacing Roman Reigns in 2020, and with several weeks left before WrestleMania 41, anything can still happen. Whatever's planned, WrestleMania is shaping up to be another wild ride, with some of WWE's biggest names locked in for major showdowns. In addition to Jey Uso, Gunther, and Stratton vs. Flair, many are predicting Cody Rhodes vs. John Cena and an epic triple threat between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. This year's card could have something for everyone, but with rumors still swirling, nothing is set in stone until the show begins on April 19th in Las Vegas. Do you think the rumored lineup delivers, or is WWE missing something big? If so, what could it be? Sound off in the comments. Last week, Ricky Saints made his WWE NXT debut, which shocked fans and wrestlers alike, as his arrival came shortly after AEW removed him from its rosters. Now, Saints, formerly Ricky Starks, has addressed his exit from AEW, which came close to a year after his final match for Tony Khan and what led to it. On Busted Open Radio, Saints said that things in AEW changed after CM Punk's exit in 2023, but admitted that he might not have played the backstage politics well. Saints added that he suffered a minor injury in March 2024, but was not brought back even after he was fully recovered, and that there was no communication from AEW. The former tag champion wasn't sure exactly what went wrong, but believes multiple factors played a role, including asking for his release from the company. Saints added that if something went wrong, it was probably because people said things about him, and if he had to guess, it'd be personal comments rather than professional critiques. Had those talking about him just kept to speaking about work-related issues, Saints believes things would not have played out in the unfortunate way they did. Despite these comments, Saints made it clear he doesn't want to talk badly about anyone, but is just being honest, and denied that appearing at WWE events had anything to do with the issues. If people think Saints appearing at the 2023 Royal Rumble to support the returning Cody Rhodes was the reason he was cut from TV, they are completely wrong, according to the NXT star. Saints felt like nothing was happening with him in AEW, so he thought it was best to move on quietly, comparing the situation to trying to find love in the same place you lost it. In this case, it wasn't possible for Saints to find his love for AEW, though he was scared to ask for his release in late 2024, as he'd already thought of the dire consequences. Saints said he'd always bet on himself, just like he did when he left the NWA, and spoke about building a career on his own without favors or connections, and plans to do the same forever. In his mind, leaving AEW made perfect sense, but he was frustrated that the decision leaked online. But now, as part of WWE NXT, Ricky Saints is ready for a fresh start. Though his time in AEW ended on uncertain terms, he's confident he has the ability to succeed in WWE, and these comments come ahead of his WWE debut match next week. That match will see Saints team with Javon Evans to face Ethan Page and Wes Lee, and we'll have to see how he performs in his in-ring debut as a WWE superstar. Do you believe Ricky Saints' AEW exit was truly just a mix of unfortunate circumstances? Could it have been avoided? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. In 2010, Shawn Michaels had a picture-perfect send-off when he faced The Undertaker, a send-off some fans feel HBK spoiled when he competed in Saudi Arabia in 2018. 7 years later, fans continue to wonder if Michaels will ever have another match, and it turns out that Shawn believes he has some gas left in the tank. Speaking at For the Love of Wrestling, JDC, formerly Fandango, recalled a conversation with Michaels when the TNA star recently showed up in NXT. He said, "You know who I talked to at NXT last week who said he's got 1 or 2 matches left in him? Shawn Michaels. Yeah, and that's a guy, he's the reason why I got into the business. So honestly, it'd probably never happen, but that would be my dream match." Michaels can certainly still deliver sweet chin music, as Kevin Owens learned firsthand at Saturday night's main event, and could KO be one of the few matches Shawn has left? Not only would it be a first ever match, but Owens said he asks HBK every year around WrestleMania season, but Michaels always says no to the idea. But what do you think? Should Shawn Michaels have those 1 or 2 matches, and if so, who should he face? Or is the head of NXT truly done in the ring? Give your thoughts down below. Over to AEW Dynamite, and following their heated brawl last week, Hangman Adam Page and MJF came face-to-face this week to address their long-standing tensions. MJF recalled the Casino Battle Royal at Double or Nothing 2019, claiming he had the match won before Page cheap-shotted him to steal the victory. That win earned Page a shot at Chris Jericho for the AEW World Championship, only to come up short, and MJF emphasized his own journey, stating that he clawed his way to the top. Along the way, MJF has defeated some of AEW's biggest names to become a former international champion and the longest-reigning AEW World Champion. The exchange grew more intense when MJF mocked Page for forcing Christopher Daniels into retirement, and the Cowboy said Daniels is 10 times the man MJF is. Tensions exploded when MJF spat in Page's face before slipping out of the ring, leaving security to take the brunt of the Cowboy's frustration until Daniels himself intervened to calm him down. Following the segment, AEW announced Page vs. MJF for Revolution in a meeting of the two names that embody the evolution of AEW. Both went from promising talents to bona fide main eventers thanks to compelling storylines and their in-ring work, and cemented themselves on the roster until AEW gave them the rub. While their paths have crossed before, their rivalry has never fully ignited until now, and with so much history and animosity between them, this match is set to be a personal, brutal affair. Now, Britt Baker has been missing from AEW programming for months, and it was recently reported that the DMD has a lot of heat within the promotion. During a recent Fightful Select Q&A, Sean Ross Sapp was asked about rumors of Baker leaving AEW, but clarified that she's taking some time off and that she's not done with AEW. Sapp also hinted that Baker has been facing personal matters outside of wrestling that have played into her absence. He said, "I'd imagine if many people understood a number of the things she'd experienced outside the ring, they'd probably give her more credit for how the last couple of years had went." Last year, it was confirmed that Baker and Adam Cole had broken up, and outside AEW, Baker has been focused on other projects, including her role on Cobra Kai. As for her role in wrestling, there's no creative plans for a return to AEW, but despite it being unclear when she'll be back in the ring, Britt Baker isn't finished with AEW. Do you think AEW should be doing more to bring her back, or is this break what she needs? Drop your thoughts below. On Dynamite, Samoa Joe led the Opps into battle and set the tone with his physical dominance, though it was Katsuyori Shibata who took the brunt of the punishment from the Patriarchy. Throughout the match, Christian Cage avoided Samoa Joe, forcing Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne to handle most of the action, telling the story of the Canadian being wary of Joe's violence. Once in the ring, Hook took control and ultimately made Nick Wayne tap out to the Red Rum, marking a resounding success for the Opps' formal debut as a group. This match established them as a force in the Trios division, and based on this dominance, it wouldn't be surprising if they were the ones to eventually dethrone the Death Riders. Though the Opps made a statement in the ring, their entrance theme was an odd call, as though it is solid, it lacks the intimidating aura of Joe's usual entrance. It'll take time to get used to Joe coming out to a different theme when working with the Opps, but for now, this was a strong start for the Opps. Powerhouse Hobbs finally got his revenge against Big Bill in a brutal street fight that left blood and destruction, with Hobbs sending Bill through a barbed wire table off the ramp for a win. This was a well-built fight that delivered on months of intense brawling, and the use of unconventional weapons amplified the danger and excitement. At one point, Bill used a wrench on Hobbs to bust him open, and with the blood flowing, the Redwood chokeslammed him onto the steel steps outside. Brian Keith came out to aid Bill with a steel chair, but Hobbs knocked it away and threw the bad apple through a table, earning a huge response from the fans. The crowd in attendance were loving what they were seeing, as there were meat forever and meat chants as Bill and Hobbs battled to the ramp. Hobbs emerged looking like a monster, reinforcing that he deserves another shot at AEW Gold sooner rather than later. In an interview with Renee Paquette, Chris Jericho agreed to defend his ROH World Championship against Bandito on Collision. Timeless Toni Storm was back in the spotlight as AEW Women's World Champion and was basking in all the glory of her recent victory at Grand Slam Australia. While praising Mariah May, she issued an open invitation to any challenger, whether it be Kris Statlander, the long-retired Wendy Richter, or anyone else willing to step up. This was a brief but effective segment reaffirming Storm's unique character as AEW Women's World Champion, one of the most popular characters in wrestling. While a third match with Mariah May feels inevitable, AEW has yet to establish a definitive first challenger, but this open challenge will lead to a marquee match at Revolution. Willow Nightingale attempted to complete her interview from last week, but Marina Shafir ambushed her once again and used a camera to deliver an intimidating message. Later in the night, the Death Rider stormed the ring, with Jon Moxley declaring that he had ended Cope, but Jay White arrived, closely followed by the Rated R superstar himself. White and Cope again joined forces, taking down the Death Riders and sending them retreating before Cope then vowed to eliminate Moxley's allies before Revolution. While this was a solid argument, AEW is running out of time to fully flesh out the Cope vs. Moxley storyline. It might have been more effective for Cope to sit out following the Brisbane Brawl. A missing Cope would have sold the damage he endured in Australia, but regardless, the direction is clear as Cope is working to neutralize the Death Riders and ensure a fair fight at Revolution. It was once again odd that White was Cope's only backup, as no explanation has been given to why FTR or the Guns are not helping out their respective allies in this major title program. Mercedes Moné wanted to celebrate her latest win, but Renee Paquette revealed that Momo Watanabe had decided to face the CEO at Revolution for the TBS title. The pair battled for Moné's NJPW Strong Women's title last year, and now Watanabe hopes to be the one to end the TBS title reign of the CEO. In a heavyweight battle, Bayne scored a massive win over Kris Statlander, albeit thanks to interference from Penelope Ford, who tripped Statlander, allowing for Bayne to hit the sit-out at 5 for the win. Thunder Rosa stormed the ring wielding a chair after the match, preventing further damage to Statlander, but the big story here was the big win for Bayne, her latest victory on a growing list. Though the interference casts a shadow over the win, Bayne is being presented as a credible threat and has continued to look strong working alongside one of AEW's very top women. Her match with Statlander proved she can hold her own in the competitive AEW women's division, and a tag match between these four women seems to be in the card. Fans can also expect a future singles showdown between Rosa and Bayne in what would be another major showcase for Bayne to show she belongs in the ring with a former women's champion. Max Caster once again threw out an open challenge for Collision and wanted to meet his opponent eye to eye. With the Acclaimed officially done, Caster has done well to keep himself relevant on TV and is being used more right now than Anthony Bowens. The only issue now is that Caster hasn't won a match in AEW since November 2024, with his most recent singles win for the company coming in June 2023 at the House Rules Live event. Caster being on TV is good, but he does need to start winning matches in order to avoid becoming a comedy character and maintain his edge. Ricochet's demand for respect from the crowd only saw him booed relentlessly, and the one and only did pull out the typical heat magnets for the Arizona crowd. Ricochet said he was ready to leave just like Kevin Durant did, which earned more boos before Prince Nana came out to ask for his robe to be returned, but Ricochet refused. Ricochet may not be a top microphone worker on his own, instead relying on the wave of the crowd boos, but he was able to keep his feud with Swerve Strickland as the focus. It was a good move to just have Nana address Ricochet this time, as it told that the robe was more than just a costume or prop to the manager. Ricochet refusing to give it back puts him in a dangerous spot, as Nana almost gave the one and only a way out and he refused, no doubt angering Swerve, who already wanted to hurt him. It's a shame that AEW has slowed the build of this feud after their great main event clash, instead having other stories jump it in importance, but there's still time to heat things up before Revolution. Backstage, Kyle O'Reilly refused to choose sides between the Undisputed Kingdom and the Conglomeration ahead of a showdown between Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy. Cassidy hugged KOR outside the ring, prompting Strong to do the same, and the crowd chanted for one more hug, which Cassidy was happy to oblige. Strong delivered a great effort, while Cassidy showed genuine frustration in his attempts to overcome Strong and put his hands in his pocket to center himself. In the end, though, Freshly Squeezed got the win after a Stun Dog Millionaire and Orange Punch, and Tony Schiavone tried to get some post-match comments, but the Callis family interrupted. As Don Callis, Mark Davis, and Konosuke Takeshita attacked, Kenny Omega arrived and he and Cassidy stood tall after clearing the ring. After a night of great action and storyline development, this match felt like something of a step down, but both men delivered on hard-hitting action, with OC leaving several shades more red. The issue, though, is a lack of consistency, as Strong has been focused so much in trios action with the Undisputed Kingdom, while Freshly Squeezed has been off TV. Even the reference to the Conglomeration felt outdated, as the faction's been missing from TV for 2025 until this match, making the situation all the more jarring. This was a match to determine who will challenge Takeshita for the international title at Revolution, but neither Strong nor Cassidy felt established as the next challenger. They certainly weren't built up enough to be main eventing the show, but AEW did at least find a way to end the night with Kenny Omega, arguably the hottest name in AEW right now. As for Strong versus Cassidy, this was another angle that came off a bit rushed, but everyone played their role to sell a solid ending to a strong Dynamite. On this week's NXT, TNA's Moose arrived to confront Oba Femi, and on Twitter, Nia Jax was very excited to see the X Division champion show up. On Twitter, a fan said that Jax should be wary of being cancelled for supporting Moose, but Jax said she couldn't care what people think, as she wishes nothing but the best for Moose. Some have taken issue with Moose for his support of Tessa Blanchard, as well as an incident in 2009 when he was arrested for domestic battery. No matter what, Jax is ready to support Moose, and with Moose saying a match with Femi will come in a few weeks, expect to see more of the TNA star in WWE. For years, Debra was part of the wrestling world, first in WCW and later the WWF, but recently the former women's champion shared a surprising career update. Speaking at Monopoly events for the love of wrestling, Debra shared that after leaving wrestling, she studied at the University of Alabama, where she earned a master's degree. That degree is in criminal justice, and today Debra is working in the district attorney's office in New Orleans, with the WWE alum adding that it's been an interesting journey. It's somewhat ironic that Debra spent years helping heels like Jeff Jarrett and others cheat to win, but today works tirelessly to put the real-life bad guys behind bars. Speaking of Jarrett, Debra shared that if she did return to wrestling, she'll want to work with Double J once more, sharing that, "We just worked really well together." With Jarrett in AEW on what's believed to be his final run, don't count out a cameo by Debra, but for now, the former manager is very happy with her life in the DA's office outside of wrestling. It's been over 2 years since Melo competed in AEW, and though she returned to the ring last month at Stardom's New Year's Dream, fans have been curious about her future. While speaking on the Hump, Shawn Ross Sapp was asked about Melo and said that for many in AEW, being out of sight also means being out of mind to those booking the shows. Melo gave birth to her and Sammy Guevara's daughter and has been on maternity leave, and despite her match for Stardom, her future in AEW continues to remain unclear. And we're ending with Queen of the Ring, the Mildred Burke biopic, as this week, fans got their first look at AEW's Kamille as legendary Burke rival June Byers. The film will also feature Toni Storm, Jim Cornette, and WWE's Naomi, and with the film set to release next month, fans won't have to wait long to see Queen of the Ring.